Welcome to Happier ADHD. My name's Marley Darling. I'm a second generation neurodiversity expert with over 17 years experience, and now I'm raising my own neurodiverse kids. You'll notice that I call the podcast a few different things, but we always explore these same topics that I've been looking at for the last 17 years. Psychology, mindset, neurodiversity, personal development, health and well-being, business, parenting, and more. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, I'm back after many months break. So there are a few things that have changed in life, just some shifts, kids maturing, breakthroughs that we've had, and I've changed the segment names and the structure of the podcast to be a little bit less dense and rushed. So I'm going to jump straight in. First, we've got Little Big Thing, where I'm going to share with you a story or something that's happening in my life or a lesson that I've had. And this week, it is fitting things into schedule. This is a little thing that's quite a big thing because it means that errands are getting done without having to put time aside for a big errand or a big errand day. I'm slotting them in amongst other things. So just today I managed to pop into the supermarket on the way to swimming lesson, and on the way back pop in and grab a few things from a friend's garden. I was going to put these things aside for tomorrow, but that means I have to get the kids out of the house tomorrow, and it's going to be a big thing. So I looked at how I could really optimize my schedule in that way. And the amazing thing about this is that my kids are old enough and regulated enough for us to be able to do that. They had patience. They even had patience afterwards when they had been in the water. So they're getting a lot more regulated. Then this evening, they were slow to get out of the house, but I really wanted us to get outside, and I'll talk about why in a minute. But eventually we got out and we managed to do a walk, and they got to play at a playground in the twilight while our lasagna cooked in the oven, and we got back right on time. So that was great that we could actually get moving. And once I was at the playground, I was actually really enjoying that, and I wished we could have had more time. But we didn't. But that was a lesson that I want to do that again. It was very nice to get out of the house. Now, what's on my mind this week is screen use and eye health. One of my daughters had to get glasses, and we hadn't noticed that she needed them. It's quite common for kids to not know that they need glasses, and for parents to not know their kids need glasses until about third grade, when they're about 8 or 9. And this is just because it might not be noticeable. The child doesn't know that they're seeing things differently. The parent isn't picking up on the subtle clues, and I didn't pick up on the clues. I knew that my daughter got tired after a while of focusing. I knew that when I tried to point out things in the car, she often missed them, but I just assumed that's because we were moving. It's often noticed in third grade because kids aren't seeing the board as well, and they're not able to do their schoolwork. Now, of course, my daughter's homeschooled, so we didn't notice it in that way, but we did notice it at the airport. And luckily we picked up on it, and now she has glasses. But what I learned is the eye is developing until, I think the optometrist said, until age 14, I think. And your eye receives signals from natural light, and that natural light tells the eye how to develop and grow. The problem is humans are doing a lot of focused work, a lot of use of screens and blue light, and not getting as much natural light outdoors, and the eye doesn't get those same signals. So the eye can actually elongate and turn oval shaped. So this is something that is controllable in terms of you can have an impact on this. Every 20 minutes during focused work, look up into the distance and have a break for around 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And the other thing is to get at least 2 hours of natural light outdoors every day. And these things can have a massive difference and prevent the need for glasses. But nobody told us this. What I've been noticing myself the last couple days is when I go outside and I start to do some long-sighted things, my eyes feel kind of tired. It's not that things are blurry, but they feel a bit tired and they don't really want to focus on all the detail that's far away. And then I start to think, okay, I really don't want to have glasses. Are my eyes fine? I can still see the details, but if my eyes are tired, that's a problem. And that's likely because of my screen use. I do far too much focused work and far too much screen use. The other thing about screens is the time suck and not noticing how much time you're spending on them. It's great if you can get an app, or if your phone tracks your app usage and you can find out exactly how much time you're actually looking at your phone every day. And a lot of the time for me might just be using Messenger or might just be checking something. I've always got my phone beside me and I think I just look at it far too often and it adds up to hours. That is not healthy. It's easy not to notice just how much time is being spent on a screen. It's easy to not notice how it adds up during the day. It's easy to not notice just how distracted you might be doing something and then glance over at the phone. And it's easy to not realize how it looks for other people. You might feel like you're still engaging in the world as, just a little bit distracted. But think about when you've been with someone and they've been using their phone and they've been looking at it and they've been distracted. It's really easy to tell and you don't feel connected to that person. So if you're the person using your phone, it's important to have that perspective that actually you're probably not as connected as you feel, as you assume. You might think that, oh, I'm just having a little glance away, but it's super, super noticeable. Now, this week I was at a playground and I saw a man playing with his baby. He put his baby on the swing. He started pushing his baby. Then he thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to check my phone. He pulled his phone out of his pocket and started looking at it. And now, like so many of us, once we start looking at the phone, we forget what we're doing. He gradually stopped pushing his baby. He was staring at his phone and his arm was kind of hanging and he could see out of the corner of his eye how the baby was swinging. So every time the baby swung towards him, he kind of flicked his fingers as though he was pushing the baby, but it wasn't actually doing anything. Now he continued this until he wasn't actually touching the baby at all, but his hand kind of gave a little twitch every time the baby came towards. And then he just gave up totally. He was sucked into his phone. The baby was just slowing down, staring off into the distance because it was a baby. But can you think if this was a toddler, the impression the toddler would get? We all do this. We all want an escape. We all need regulation. But I watched this man and I thought, that is far too relatable. That's far too relatable in this world. And we each excuse ourselves. It's not so bad, right? We're just going to check our phone for a moment. But the problem is this addictive behavior and disconnecting from the real world, and that it's so many of us. It's a real problem. And then when he'd finished with his phone, he felt like he was done, whatever he had been doing, and he took his baby out of the swing and carried it off to look at a tree. He lifted the baby up to see the tree, and then he pulled his phone out of his pocket to check it. This is what screens do to us. This is addictive behavior. And again, it's super common. We all do it, but I think we can do better. And it's important for us and our health as well. And eyes. And I'll talk a bit more about the eyes in a minute. But some ways you can reduce your phone use. It's really difficult. I've used a bunch of apps. I've had Stay Focused, Your Hour, Minimalist Phone, Forest, and what have I written here? Oh, you can have a physical cage for your phone. All of these things, because it's addictive, we can work around, and we need to break the cycle. But the other thing is actually entertain ourselves with other things. What I'm going to do at the moment is I put a rubber band around my phone, a physical reminder. It doesn't stop me from using it, but it kind of gets in the way. And I've written on that rubber band that if I have time to use the phone, if I have time to scroll, then I have time to go out and do something, or I have time to pick up a hobby. If I'm bored enough or tired enough to use my phone, then I'm bored enough to do nothing. I'm bored enough to go outside. I'm bored enough to just take my kids for a walk or something like that. But we're seeking the dopamine. That's the problem. But I'm trying to train my brain and reteach my brain, hey, if I'm seeking something, the phone is not the place to seek it. So I've determined that I want to do more daily walks and more adventures for that long eyesight, to make sure my eyes are being used in the right ways, to make sure we're getting lots of natural light, and to have the benefit of actually doing something that distracts from using screens and engages us more in life. And the other thing that you can do, the other things, is always have a book on the go and place it near your phone. Wherever you put your phone down, have a book there. Have a hobby. Play guitar, do painting, something that's your go-to. If you need to do something, if you've got 5 minutes, maybe you can sit down and draw. Have these ideas in your head that is your go-to when you need a little hit of dopamine, when you need a little hit of regulation, and make it something that's not your phone. As easy as your phone is, there are so many other things that we can do that engage us more in the world, that reconnect us to our humanity, that are tangible and physical and actually make us feel good about ourselves rather than bad about ourselves. And they don't clutter our brain up with things we don't need to be thinking about, because in the long run, not even the long run, but after just using your phone for a bit, you're probably going to feel tired in a different way. You'll be distracted. Your brain will be full of all these different ideas and it will be cluttered. But you can clear your brain and you can regulate yourself through doing something that engages you without filling your mind with content. You could work on something. You could start a project. You could listen to a podcast. Our minds, what have I written here? Our minds are something. I don't know. I wrote atrophying. Yeah, I think it's a problem that people are using their phones and not using their intelligence or their creativity. We are losing this spark in humanity, and it's everyone, everywhere. Like I said, that man. I saw a comment on the internet the other day as I was scrolling on social media before I've decided it's way too much. And the comment said, well, what else are we supposed to do if we're not supposed to scroll? The world sucks. And that's really sad. Do you know what we're supposed to do if the world sucks and thousands and millions of people around the world are resorting to scrolling social media as a pastime that actually doesn't even feel good, but we're still doing it? We're supposed to fix it. One person at a time. Be the change you want to see. It's a chronic issue, and this disconnection is getting worse with the generations. And the only way we're going to fix it is if we can role model a better behavior, if we can make these shifts. Now, I've got a question for you. Do you think you could do a tech-free day, a whole day without tech? If that sounds difficult, do you think maybe we've got a problem? What about an hour? Could you do an hour? It just shows the level of addiction or reliance we have on our phones. But isn't it great when we can find something that makes us forget our phones? That's probably the way to go, rather than obsessing over stopping using them, although I did give you some good tools that are useful. The best thing we can do is re-engage in the world to the point where we forget our phones and find a way to regulate that isn't scrolling. So that's my challenge to you. First of all, you can minimize phone use through those apps we suggested, or a physical cage or rubber band. Secondly, you can have a hobby on the go, something that's your go-to. And thirdly, find something that engages you in the world so much that you forget your phone, and that might be going somewhere, talking to someone. See what works for you. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this week, and that's what I'm going to be working on. My plan is to, get out every day as much as possible, and maybe fit in some walks around other things. It can be tricky to get the kids out of the house, but what I've realized is maybe if I can leave a little bit early, if we're going out of the house anyway, then we can do a walk on the way somewhere, even if it's just 5, 10, 15 minutes, just wandering around, see what we can see, explore a new place or an old place, check for nature, fungi, plants, what animals or birds we might see, or if you're in a city, just look around, people watch, see what you could see. All right, next section is called wins and workarounds. Now, the win for this week is we brought back out the conversation cards for dinner time, and after dinner we had a board game. I have resolved to have daily connection time, daily dinner connection, and there's really no excuse. Sometimes we have really lazy dinners, sometimes I'm just not regulated and can't be bothered, but it's just about being open to it and giving it a go, and it was really nice. It's funny what the brain can do. I can know that these things feel good, but feel like I don't have the energy to do them. But sometimes when we do things, they actually give us energy. So it's good to try them. The workaround this week is related. It's the kids' stuff on the dinner table. And a positive mindset shift around this is that a messy dinner table means a happy home with kids who are comfortable in the communal spaces, and the family comes together, and the dinner table is a really great hub for that. It means that you're close, your kids are engaged, they're not hiding away in their rooms, you've got them around and close to you, and you can try and engage with them, you can pay attention to what they're doing. But it does get messy, and I don't want to put all their stuff away. So the workaround for this is to have a basket. Now, I had a space organizer come into my house recently, and she said, don't stack things up. Have a basket that you clear the table before dinner so it's nice and easy, and then after dinner you empty it, and you make sure you don't stack up because a stack never ends, but a basket does get full. And you can teach your kids this and train their brains in a helpful way, not a manipulative way. All our brains need to be trained. So your kids can develop this habit where they recognize once a basket is full, that space is taken and then it needs to be dealt with. My kids aren't there yet. This space organizer says that her kids are, and that this can work if you can be consistent. So at the moment, we've got a tub there, and my kids are learning that I'm going to empty their things into it if they leave their things in the communal space. They don't love to put things away. That's a demand on the brain. It's a mental effort. They're not always capable. Every now and then I'm saying to them, put some things away from the tub, and that's on me to be more consistent. And sometimes it's really hard as a parent because you've got to be the one who's consistent to help others develop the consistency. And that is the tricky part. But occasionally they put some things away, and I have explained to them that if you never empty the thing, it's never done, and wouldn't it be nice for it to be done? And they can at least recognize and acknowledge that, even if they don't have the ability to fully do it. One day they magically got a bunch of energy and found it lots of fun and turned it into a little game where they did pack up quite a bit of the stuff, which was good. The other thing they're learning though is if they leave their things in the communal space, even if it's a special thing, I'm going to put it in there. So if they don't want me to put it in there, they need to put it away. So that's where they will start to learn over time that they need to put their things away. And some things they might not care about, and it goes in the tub. I'm still going to encourage them to put it away, but at least they can kind of become discerning in that way about looking after belongings that are important to them. And then I don't have to feel guilty, because I do get worried about putting their things in there, but there's not much I can do. Either I can leave the things out, I can put the things in the tub, or I can put things away myself. And the only option is to put things in the tub. So that's what we're working on. That's our workaround there, is that put away box. That's something you can try at home as well, and I'll let you know how that goes at some point if I have an update. Next section is Life Lounge. Now in Life Lounge, that's where it's a cozy space to explore and reflect and refine and shift. There's a lot of things that I can talk about in this section of Life Lounge. This week I'm going to talk about productivity. How can I not? I've just spent months not doing this podcast, and the last few days I've really wanted to, but I did feel a bit of a block, and I knew I had to open up to the idea. I had to take my own advice, because I know that motivation is hard to get, but momentum is what we need to rely on. So you need to start doing something in order to get that feeling of momentum and motivation. And the other thing I know is that sometimes we're resistant to the concept of doing the thing rather than doing the thing. If we become completely still and have no momentum, it feels like pushing yourself up against a brick wall. And the solution to that is to just try something. Sit down in front of the laptop, open up the document, open up the website, open up the book. Just expose yourself to the thing in some way that's not just thinking in your brain. Play around with it. Test it out. Do a fun version. If you want to start writing, just write something. Don't write the actual thing that has actual pressure. Dip a toe in to the feeling and the world of whatever it is that you want to do. The other things you can do is move your body. Get physically moving to get some energy, or go and get some new scenery. Expose yourself to something new. These are all things you can do to open yourself up to getting back into the thing and becoming productive again. And the other thing I did today is I actually listened to my old podcasts. I opened up my website and I had a look at that. And I did a little test recording for a new intro for the podcast. And I can't remember which one I started with, but all those things felt like I wasn't really doing anything, that I was just looking at it. But it exposed me to my content. It made me start feeling more open to it again and less like it was a brick wall. It still feels a bit overwhelming for me to think about doing everything or committing to all the things I want to do because I have such big dreams, but I'm dipping that toe in and inching forward ever so slightly and starting to get that momentum back. So that's what's happening in Life Lounge, and here I am recording this podcast. Oh, the other thing I did before I recorded this podcast is I opened my little podcast notebook that I haven't looked at in a long time, and I went over the notes and looked at what I had been talking about. And I thought, you know what, this is actually good. And I'm going to review the section structure and talk to AI about some section names and just brainstorm with that. And then I thought, well, do you know what? Maybe I could just test if I could think about topics for this week, if I was going to record a podcast this week. And by the time I had finished writing down my ideas for this podcast episode, I thought, you know what? My kids are asleep. It's not quite bedtime. I could just record this now and see how it goes. And here we are, just inching forward. So whatever it is that you've been putting off, maybe you can just inch forward just a little bit. No pressure. Just what's the next tiny step that you could do? Give that some thought. Second last section is called Joy Break. And this is where I want to share with you something that's been bringing me some joy, something that might be content or something I've been doing that's really been nourishing me, something that's just a break from all the rest of this, all the wins and workarounds and the struggles and the challenges and the hacks. This is just a nice little thing. So my joy break for this week has been warm autumn drinks. Just probably the last week or so, I have started having my turmeric chai lattes again, and hot chocolates and tea, and it's feeling very nourishing and special. And when I have time to myself, occasionally in the evenings, like last night, I made myself a turmeric latte and I watched a movie and I had a snack, and it felt very cozy and nourishing. And it's very different from the summer months when kids can be awake very late. So this is another way that I've learnt to enjoy the cooler weather in my mindset shifts that I went through in 2023 to enjoy winter. And I really, really am. I am needing to drink more water though. Hydration has gone down in the cooler weather. So I'm trying to drink more tea, and I'm going to add berry infusions to water again soon as a little life hack to try and make sure I'm drinking enough water in winter when I don't really feel like it. All right, last section of the week. This has been quite a short episode actually, with this different structure. So we'll see how it goes. I think around half an hour is a great time for a podcast episode, so I should probably just shush, because that's probably when it's going to finish. Anyway, don't mind me. The last segment is called letting go and letting in. What I'm letting go of this week, like we talked about, is that wasted time on my phone. I'm noticing that, well, I'm thinking about time a lot. So I talked about optimizing my schedule, and now I'm noticing that a lot of time is wasted on my phone. And I'm also noticing I'm lying in bed in the mornings and I'm wondering if I can get myself moving a bit easier. And I also know that I spend a lot of time on Messenger, and I love connecting with people. I love feeling connected. There are so many beautiful benefits to that, but I'm also trying to use Messenger less during my downtime so that I can actually enjoy it. If I'm reading, I should be reading. If I'm watching a movie, I should be watching a movie. It's so much more nourishing. And it's really interesting because my fitness watch tracks my stress levels and it tracks my rest levels. If my stress is very low, which it is rarely, for a period of time, then it says that my body battery has gone up, and it will say that I've had a rest period. Now, this is rare. It's rare that I have an actual rest period. But I've noticed when it happens is when I'm not using Messenger. I'm actually resting. So mental rest is important as well. And too often we keep ourselves busy mentally because we are kind of addicted to it. We have a need there, an underlying need in some way. But it's important to also be able to be alone and also not be constantly stimulated by phones. So that's something I'm letting go of, is that wasted time or time that's just not used super effectively. I want to be doing the thing that I'm doing, not just staring at my phone in the kitchen or reading messages while I'm watching a movie, and also not just lying in bed thinking, I should probably get up, or just lying around thinking and snoozing. I want to harness time and really find time to fit in everything I want to be doing in life, because I know the thought of it sounds like it will take more energy, but actually sometimes we need to be doing more to get more energy. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, is really rejigging my schedule to pump it full of everything I want to be doing, including rest and caring for my body. And what I'm letting in this week is more movement, more momentum. So this is both physically and also productively, but in a fun way, and more magic. More magic as in really enjoying life and also creating things and feeling good about creating. So thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you've enjoyed this structure and what I've talked about this week, and I reckon I can keep doing this again. I will figure it out. I will keep experimenting. I will be back however long of a break I have. This is something I really enjoy doing. I love recording audio. I love sharing. I've been learning and talking about these topics, for the last at least 17 years. I need to count it again and do my maths. But I love it. I will always be back however long a break I have, and I don't know about you, but I'm actually interested to follow my progress and follow my lessons. And I had a great time listening to 3 of my old episodes today and hearing my old advice again and taking my old advice. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I appreciate having someone on the other end of this and a reason to create. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. So you've got neurodiverse kids in your life. You've probably noticed that they don't respond well to traditional parenting techniques or discipline or ways to get them motivated or to comply. Maybe you're tearing your hair out with stress and the same old struggles and fights and arguments every single day. Or perhaps you're feeling completely lost because you've tried absolutely everything and it just doesn't seem to work. These kids do not respond to behavior charts. They don't respond to power being asserted over them. What these kids need is something completely different. And what I'm going to suggest to you is you actually stop trying to change them. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And you cannot change these children. You cannot control their behavior. But if you change something around them, you change their environment, you change how you act, it will change how they react. It will change how they respond. If you change something, then no longer will you be stuck in this cycle of doing what you've always done and getting what you've always got. And those traditional methods do not work. So stop wasting your time and energy on them. I know you're looking for a solution and you feel like it's just not possible anymore, but let me tell you, I was in the exact same boat, and then I realized what we need is to do something radically different. My approach is to change the environment around them and to change how you interact with them, and that will have the biggest impact. It'll stop you feeling like your head is butting up against a wall, and it will start actually creating change with less effort. I believe in small, easy to implement shifts that create big change. So if you're interested in seeing what I have to offer, head over to marleydarling.com, and I've got a free webinar there for you to check out, and then comprehensive programs that cover everything I've learned in over a decade of parenting neurodiverse kids, and also in being a neurodiverse person myself who's been studying neurodiversity for over 17 years. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give a different approach, and I wholeheartedly believe that we need a radically different approach to support these children, to empower them to live the best lives possible, and to give you a bit of a break as the parent. So head on over to marleydarling.com, where you can find some free resources and maybe check out my comprehensive programs if you're ready to see a massive difference in your life through just some small shifts. See you there.